Hello everyone, I Dr. Tripti Lamba. Today we'll discuss about scripting language. So in my this video, I will be covering what is scripting language, why there is a need of a scripting language, what are the different types of scripting language, and we'll discuss about few of the scripting language available. Now first of all, let's see why there is a need of a script. Now, when we talk about computers, we have a different languages. We have a programming languages, we have a markup languages, we have a scripting languages. Programming language means I'm talking about a high level language like your C, C++, Java, C Sharp, etc. So when we talk about a markup language, it means we're talking about HTML, that is our hypertext markup language through which we can create any website or web pages. But with the help of an HTML, we are able to create only static page. There won't be any interactivity. There won't be any interaction, right? It's just for the information. So at that particular web page or website will be very boring if it's static, right? We're able to view only the information. We're not able to connect with it. So for that purpose, you need to have scripting languages. So there are different kind of scripting languages available. So let's see now. In the script, as I said, with the help of an HTML, we are able to create only static page, right? To make our website dynamic, we need to have some scripting language because it provides some controls. I give you a very simple example of a, suppose say a login form. I have a one website where I have to do the registration or a login, right? It's simple, have a login ID and a password. We need to enter it. Now, when I entered the login, the user ID, then I enter the password. After the password, what happened is it checked for the authentication, whether that particular password is correct or incorrect. So it fetches from the database and it checked that particular password is been correct written or not. Suppose say that particular the password is correct, then it diverts to the another page or whatever that is there, the programmer or the developer has made it, it is navigate to the next page. And suppose say that particular password is incorrect, it pop up with the message invalid password, try again or whatever the web developer has written about it, right? So that what my the scripting language is doing it. It is first fetching the data, like from the database, it checks particular password and then you're checking the if condition. So the scripting language have a control statements available with it, like to check the condition or some different iterations are there. Suppose say the database is too long where the password has been stored, so it will going to fetch each and every record and we're going to check particular password with that user ID. So that is the need of the scripting language. So the website it's incomplete without an scripting language, as it's providing you the control statement. So what are the control statement available? We have a simple statement, then we have a conditions, like you have a if, you have a switch, then we have a loop statements available with us, we have a while, we have a do while, we have a for loop, we have a for each, right? So that what the control statement is there in the scripting language. So by that we are able to create our website dynamic. So let's talk about the scripting language, what the definition says, right? It is a new style of a programming language different from the system programming language. System programming language also having a control statement, and your scripting language do have that control statement available. Oh, it can be embedded within the HTML, commonly are used to add functionality to a web page, right? So with the help of an HTML, I created my website. But if you want to add some functionality, right, for that purpose, you need to have the scripting language. As I said, we are creating the dynamic web pages. It depends upon the changes are being done depending upon the user's input. So we have a many different kind of scripting language. They are JavaScript, then I have a ASP, JSP, PHP, Perl, TCL, and etc. Now, let's discuss about, as I told you about different, these are the examples of the scripting language like Python, Perl, PHP, JavaScript. Now we can broadly classify our scripting language into two categories. They are client-side scripting language and a server-side scripting language. Now let's talk about how the control flow is there of the scripting language. Let's see to it. As I said, we are having a script. We are having an HTML page, right? We have one more terminology, CSS, that gives styles, right? That is your cascading style sheet that give a style to your web pages. So when I talk about any website, so it consists of your HTML, we have a many tags, we have a CSS, and then we have a script, which is providing you the controls. Now what happen is, we have a web browser. Now the web browser is fetching your HTML page, then you have a CSS. So in the script, we have the database and a file stored. Just now I gave the example of the login form where the password has been stored, right, in connection with the user ID, and from the database, it was fetching the record and then checking it. So that is the part of the script. So when you have a web browser available with you, and that web browser, you have written some URL, you get some website, right? Then what happened? It consists of an HTML pages. So your HTML page in connection with the script, it is coordinating, and then the desired page is displayed. This is how the flow of the script take place. Now let's talk about the client-side scripting language. Now when we talk about a client side, it means the client browser executes it locally. Right. So if it's a client side, it is in the local mode and it does not involve your server processing. The complete application is downloaded to the client browser. As I just now said, it is locally. So whatever the complete application that will be downloaded on the client browser, but it has a faster response time. It is more interactive application and less overhead on the web server. But the problem, it does not provide much security for the data. And are normally used to add functionality to the web pages, different menu styles, graphic displays on a dynamic advertisements. So when we talk about a server-side scripting, it runs on the web server. So when we talk about a server-side, it means I need to have a server. It can use huge resource of the server. It complete all the processing in the server and send plain page to the client, and it reduce the client-side computational overhead. Right. I repeat again, when I talk about a client side, when I talk about a server side, if I'm using a client side scripting language, for example, JavaScript, you do not require any server. I've written a one web page, right? I stored by the name .html. I do not require a server. I just simply take any browser, right? And I will able to get the result. But suppose say I'm having a server-side scripting language. Suppose I talk about PHP. I created a one file, right? That is a PHP page. Now I just open one browser and I run that particular file. No, it will not going to give me the result. Because when I say a server, it needs to be connected with a particular server, right? You need to go to that particular server, you need to give that particular path, and then only you are able to execute a particular file. So this is what the difference between your client side and a server side. So if it is a server side, you need to have a server for that. Suppose say PHP, for that I have Apache as a server. All right, now let's talk about the different scripting languages. As I said, one we have a ASP, Active Server Pages. This is also your server-side scripting language, and it is developed by your Microsoft. And a good at connecting to the Microsoft database, it runs only on the Microsoft server. So this is the limitation of each and every the server that you will be using, the client side or server side. You need to say it is compatible with particular server. Then we have a Perl. Then it is your old Unix language. It is found on all Windows and Linux server. It can handle text manipulation tasks and is excellent web scripting language. Then we have a PHP. It's very popular. Many of the projects, it's been developed in PHP. So the full form is your hypertext preprocessor, and especially it is good at connecting to our MySQL. So that take the database of MySQL. It is a very popular language. It runs on Unix and a Windows platform. It is embedded scripting language. You can embed HTML with that. And the syntax is very much similar to like your C, Java, and Perl, and is generally used for your dynamic content and a very good user interface. It's a server-side execution. Then we have one more scripting language, which is say as a JSP, that is your Java server pages. It is developed by Sun and uses Java. It's provide a server-specific framework like your Microsoft ASP. Then we have another scripting language, which is your CGI, Common Gateway Interface. It is also your server-side solution. It needs to launch separate instance of application for each web request, and it's allowed the direct interaction with the user. Then you have a ASP.NET. That's also the technology the students generally use for their projects. So it's your server-side technology to create faster, reliable, and dynamic web pages, and it supports your .NET framework language. It provides flexibility to the designers and the developers to work separately. Then we have another scripting language, VB This is also of Microsoft, and it's very easy to learn. Then we have a JavaScript. This is your client side. Then it is used, easy to use a programming language, right? It enhances the dynamic and interactive features of a web pages. You can perform calculation, you can create interactive games, you can have a customized graphic solution, create security password, etc. So this is what about the video about your scripting language. So in this video, we cover what do you mean by scripting language, why there is a need of scripting language. We talked about client side, we talked about server side. I hope you like this video. If you like it, please subscribe it and like it. Thank you so much.